So that brings us to In Focus tonight, and this is it. We ask the question, why politics over Facebook? And to discuss this, we have Subimal Bhattacharjee, social media expert, and Praful Ketkar is editor of Organizer, joining us via satellite link. Thanks very much, both of you, for joining us. Now, we'd start with you, Praful Ketkar. You know, when we look at Facebook or any other social media for that matter, we see that most people generally use this to catch up with friends and well-wishers. Users, may have political opinions, that's true, but it's not all the time. I mean, how effective is it, even for political parties to try and politicize it? At the end of the day, Facebook is a social media platform where people are chatting to one another as if, they are just friends.
See, Mark, since 2013-14, we have seen that the way social media platforms are being used effectively to communicate with the people by Prime Minister Modi and many other political parties followed the same path. But what happened, if you see, the debate that is happening globally, especially post 2016-17, the way algorithms and the content that is being censored, managed on social media platforms, it has opened the new debate about freedom of expression, because originally these platforms were meant only to communicate with your friends, establish new connections or revive old connections. So it was just to share free ideas, maybe something, creative thing that you do on your own. But eventually, the way that is happening in all other spheres of life, social media platforms are also getting politicized or effectively used for political purpose. I don't see anything wrong fundamentally in that.
Okay.
It becomes problematic when certain media platforms use either artificial intelligence or algorithms to create a certain narrative. And what Colonel Rathod has written today is absolutely that, earlier the so-called mainstream or the print medium was dominated by certain viewpoints. Social media platforms came as a reaction to it, and then suddenly the controlling part started. What we are seeing from Congress, or especially if you see in the global debate, whether in Singapore, what happened in the parliament there, or in US Senate, where the questions were raised about blocking the conservative opinions, it clearly shows that there is a tussle to retain the control over opinion making. And that is a real battle that is taking place, which is very unfortunate. Ultimate victim is free speech.
Indeed. Mr. Bhattacharjee, let's understand, how a social media platform can actually regulate. They use obviously keywords, algorithms, but those algorithms are not foolproof. They can't actually find everything, can they? Because as Praful Ketkar was talking about Colonel Rajavardhan Rathod's article, and he in fact is quoted saying that millions of posts mocking Hindu gods, abusing right-wing right of center leaders, advanced algorithms of Facebook and community standards fails to catch them. So, I mean, this is important to understand. I mean, what is how effective are these algorithms at the end of the day?
See, as far as the social media platforms are concerned, basically they are a medium for free expression, as Prafulji rightly pointed out. As more and more, individuals have become digitally inclined, more, you can say, digitally empowered, much of their expression are primarily coming through the social media, and this aspect today is being politicized. It's going in directions that possibly nobody thought maybe even 15 years back. We just celebrated 25 years of internet in India.
Yes.
I've been a witness to that whole 25 years. Now, if I may say that in the last 10 years, we are seeing this space coming far much more active and often in conflict. Now, having
Okay.
said so, if you look at this particular battle, the phenomenon, of social media, you can say the big tech, if I may use the word. If you take a term which we commonly use called GAFAM, Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon, and Microsoft. Now, these are the companies today. They are being feared, even in their country of origin, US, where where
Yes.
free speech is
Yes.
fundamentally, one of the biggest factors of the democracy. So even if you pick up now Facebook, which is in this current scenario, and if you see Mark Zuckerberg's deposition to the House Judiciary Committee on the 29th of July last month, where this similar issue was picked up on, he made very clear that their platforms are meant to be neutral and allow everyone to communicate.
Okay.
Now,
Fair enough.
it depends upon what is that level of appreciation by a society and where it crosses the thin line. That
Alright.
thin line in most of the cases of the social media is generally the terms of services that they define very clearly. So by and large, even today you will see that Facebook and Twitter or even others are applying different levels of standards. Now, coming to your point about algorithms and what is happening. Yes, artificial intelligence has come and or is playing a very major factor in terms of I won't say defining your presence in the social medium, but in kind of aiding you or optimizing your presence in the media. But
Okay.
look at the social media. He doesn't gain if his credibility comes under question. So beyond a certain point, he wouldn't try to doctor with anything that would be detrimental to his rise. After all,
Absolutely.
this is a revenue-based and ad-based revenue platform,
Okay.
and that is very much a public conscious activity.
Absolutely, it should affect their business interests. We'll bring in Praful Ketkar back into the discussion now. Praful Ketkar, where you did talk about politics, obviously it because of millions of users, massive amount of data, political parties would like to have their say across these millions of users. But what's happening is that we have facts and we have fact checkers and we have fake news, and this has become a whole industry now. And obviously this is pretty political because the fact checkers will be political agents, the fake news could be political. I mean, so at the end of the day, this is much of social media is trying to find out what is fake and what is not fake.
See, Mark, we have seen, last election when this entire Cambridge Analytica controversy came up, the way agencies are hired to, and we have, we have seen the controversies around the bot accounts also, how they work, and fake accounts are created. For me, this entire narrative of fake news itself is a fake narrative, because news cannot be fake. If it is news, it can't be fake. If it is fake, it can't be news. What is fake narrative. Now, I'll just give you an example. If you search anywhere, whether Google or any other social media platform, and you talk about, say, data-based analysis of, say, rapes all over the world, and you will immediately find something related to India and calling India as rape capital, and because this narrative is built. There is no data to substantiate that. I'm not saying that there are no crimes against women, but if you see that, the numerical comparison per million, it is much less compared to many European countries or cities like New York, in the US, in India. But still, data is manipulated in such a way that narrative is built. And that narrative building is effectively done through social media. And now, because data is a new currency, and Subimal-ji is expert in that, he can bring the real issue, I believe, instead of political parties talking about who is controlling the narrative, they should leave it to, and they should allow even companies to have all kinds of people working there. They should allow different voices and different opinions, different ideas to flourish.
Yes.
The real debate should be about data sovereignty and data security.
Okay.
Monopolization of data is going to monopolize the narrative. That is the critical issue that we need to address.
Indeed, Mr. Bhattacharjee, let's try and understand, about how the regulator or the company can basically say the platform can crack down on its misuse, because it would want to do that to some extent for its own credibility. And we see now they have a stated position that inciting hate and violence and all these things are offensive posts are against their policy. But we know that fake news can be debated. That's, both sides can air their opinion. But when it becomes violent, it has to be removed, and that's their policy. But is there a better system? People report. For instance, if you find something offensive, you report it to Facebook, and they are supposed to remove it if they do a proper investigation. But is there a better system than this particular system?
I think self-regulation as far as the tech industry is concerned, or maybe I can say the social media is concerned, possibly would have been a very optimal way. But if you see, very many times even in this country, the law enforcement agencies find real difficulty in getting a lot of information from these social media platforms, even when they are investigating things. I am aware of specific cases where even today, after all the assurances, doesn't come. And that's where, when we are looking at the new data protection bill, which is currently under an expert committee, now in that a lot of provisions are coming where somewhere we have I don't say any kind of control, but we have a regulatory watch on the data that is generated in the country, and which is impacting the country, whether at a society level or business level or overall the nation's security is concerned. So I think what's very important is to see that beyond the IT Act, where today, which is the base for this platform. These platforms are basically intermediaries.
Yeah, but 66A has been struck down by the Supreme Court. So
Section 79 of the Act, which defines intermediaries, is the guiding principle for all these social media platforms. But the way things are going on and the promises that they also make in terms of using fact checkers and others to be able to bring a certain level of confidence of the society, I think that has not been up to the mark. Hence, we would all look to the data protection bill to look at many of the aspects. As Prafulji rightly mentioned, data is the new currency, data is the new oil, data is the new water, everything. So a certain kind of a data sovereignty, a certain sense of data localization, where we are also vocal about. I think these are the things that will be very important, as the next few steps, to be able to have a certain parity, so that we are constantly not in this acquisition mode or using this medium to launch far much bigger and offensive activities that has national security implications.
Indeed. Now, there was also, Praful Ketkar, the talk about weaponizing the social media at a time of elections, and that's generally what actually a lot of the posts are, because they are a form of trying to influence votes. But, we know that if we do go back to the article of Rajapal Rathore, he was saying very clearly that, there is a left Congress cabal which now who are acting as gatekeepers in a sense of the social media, and they are saying such and such post is offensive and such post should not be allowed, but who gives them the right to do this and stuff like that. So at the end of the day, we tend to focus basically based on what the opinions of certain people who bring out certain issues, rather than allow Facebook to find things on their own.
See, Mark, there was an ecosystem which had a monopoly over narratives in India, and nobody dared to question them, because they were a sort of carrying that kind of sanctity and authority over opinion making, and still they occupy a lot of space in media. But what happened? Social media suddenly democratized this process, and even a common man could expose or question this monopolization process. This rattled, many in the ecosystem. That was, and that generally happens when somebody is monopolizing and having a complete control over the system. Whenever somebody questions it, so in that sense, social media was a very revolutionary thing.
Yes.
But eventually what happens, because this monopolizing tendency was always there with this ecosystem, so they came up with a new mechanism in the name of fact-checking, in the name of labeling something as fake news, in the name of, even using certain employees or certain techniques to shadow ban certain news agencies, certain platforms, certain individuals.
Okay.
So we are seeing debate related to Twitter in many of the parliaments all over the world. We are seeing debates related to Facebook, WhatsApp related issues that we have seen even in India.
Okay.
So all these things actually brought us to the larger question. One is the question that you asked to Subimalji, about the security aspect. The basic problem about the cyberspace is the conventional logic of law is not applicable to cyberspace.
Yes.
Conventional logic of law was always related to land. Now
Okay.
the question is, if somebody is routing some offense through a server, how are you going to deal with it? If somebody is going to use data to create misinformation, unrest or conflicts in your society from some other land, how
Right.
are you going to deal with it? These are the real questions that we need to ask, and
Okay.
ask these companies to be responsible about this rather than
Sure.
getting into just mere political accusations.
Fine. And a final question from to you, Subimal Bhattacharjee. This is a time when people are using social media a lot because, this is the only way you can communicate with your friends. You're not meeting them because of social distancing. There's a lockdown. There's a concern about COVID. There are so many other issues. So perhaps, those interests which want to use social media or politicize it will think that this is a chance, where you can actually get more eyeballs in a sense. So how would you look at, the timing of these kind of allegations and whatever's happening on this controversy?
I think you see today 50% of the population of this country are on the internet. More and more people are coming. Digital India is facilitating the entry of a lot of people. So each of these people, who are wanting to take advantage of these, platforms and create a controversy, thinks that, if there is a way to defame or, pull the government into such kind of maneuvers, then, they have better ways to gather eyeballs. However, look at the, the larger prospects when all these large tech companies are investing in the country, and in these times of COVID, where everywhere, people are withholding.
Yes.
So this is a great opportunity for the country to move forward and show much degrees of maturity. Everyone, the naysayers also benefit when the country becomes more digitally empowered, more citizens come in. We have had tremendous number of applications that has now motivated a lot of the people to get into the bandwagon. Data prices are one of the cheapest in the country. Mobile phones prices are at rock bottom anywhere in the world. So with all of that, when we welcome the next 50%, say in a matter of the next 5 to 10 years, we'll almost move to 75%.
Okay.
These are the times where there will be far much more activity. So I
Yes.
think this kind of controversial and politicizing stories have to stop.
Okay.
And let's look how we contribute positively.
We leave it there. Thank you very much, Subimal Bhattacharjee, social media expert, and Praful Ketkar, editor of The Organizer, for being with us on Newsnight. We're going to take a short commercial break now. Stay with us.